Good afternoon to my friends, enemies, family, and foes. I'm with my homie, who's now living in New York, Tyler Hirsch, the man, the myth, the legend, the songwriter, the coffee shop talker, the uh,
Undisputed.
amazing, insightful, educated man who I felt would be a great person to have on this channel because I know that we would have a fantastic conversation. I know it looks like we are in different rooms. We're actually in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Um,
We're actually at Starbucks right now
yeah,
conversing.
yeah, we're at Starbucks.
I'm waiting for my
So
macchiato.
I'm actually gonna just hand it off to Tyler and have him introduce himself a little bit to you all, and we can go from there.
That works, man. I'm glad to see your smiling, beautiful face. Uh, you're 1,000 miles away, but today you look so pretty. Hey there, Delilah. I was hoping you'd say that like for the intro, be like, "Hey there, Tyler. What's it like in New York City?" No, but no, I appreciate you having me on the show. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing that we're able to have this and be able to put it out to the world. It makes me really happy. Um, like he said, I'm the undisputed coffee shop talker, songwriter, producer, rapper. I go by Tyler, Ty Paper Stacks. Like it doesn't really matter to me. Like people usually they just know me by my aura. I'm just I'm just I'm just bullshitting. I'm just bullshitting. No, but I mean, I'm just a creative out here looking for other people who are like-minded. And Michael is, if there's anyone that I've met in the last few years on the journey that's been my life, like when it really started happening, Michael has been one of the most pure and authentic and sweet and caring people. Even though we've had, limited like time to chill with each other, because when I was living in Florida, you were living in Orlando and I was living in Daytona Beach. But I mean, shit, I still feel like we're brothers from the times that we have hung out and the
Mhm.
conversations that we have had, and that's all that matters. You don't have to be hanging out with people every day to be good friends or family. And I consider you and Rihanna. I should have started by saying the reason I even know you to begin with is your beautiful significant other, one of my best friends, a pure angel that just like shot out of the sky and into our lives here in America, all the way from Albania. Like how did that happen, bro? Like we're blessed. We're blessed. Shout out Rihanna.
Shout
No,
out
but
Rihanna.
no, but for real, I'm just happy to be talking to you, bro. I'm happy that we're doing this. Um, a little bit about me, I guess. I feel like I'm like doing like a school presentation. Oh shit, there goes my microphone. But
That's an F right there.
yeah, no, I'm failing. I'm failing. I've already cursed like 4 times. I would have got kicked out of the class. No, um,
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. Oh my
yeah,
God.
man. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been making music since what, 2017. I'm just extremely obsessive when it comes to music. That's my life. Really, it is. Everything else kind of takes a second place to music in my life because it's really just like my core language. Like it's what I like resonate with more than anything. And I feel like that's what most humans are able to connect through, is even if we can't speak the same language, we all know what rhythm and feeling and just what good vibes are. And I want to use music and just entertainment and making people laugh and having a good time as a medium to just spread a good message. And I mean, not even a good message, but just spread good energy and keep that energy alive, because there's just so much negative energy. I know you're very well aware of that negative energy that feeds in this life that we live in. And I feel like it's up to people like us to continue to, throughout all the negativity, just stay focused on what's true to our hearts, and just, I mean, like, accept the negative energy for what it is, but then keep carrying on with what we want to do. And I've had people so many times tell me that, you should go to school and focus on this and get this job, and oh, you should do that because of money and this and that. But I feel like we all on earth have certain purposes, and I'm very much aware of my purpose, and I think I'm taking a non-conventional route to go about, achieving my purpose in this life. And I think my purpose is, just like I was saying earlier, just spreading a good message to people, and not being scared to be yourself, and having a good time, and not thinking or worrying so much about shit. That's my like main focus right now, is not worrying about all the minute details, and just put my positivity and my love and care out there to people. Um I actually just put out a project, I think last week. I made a little like 20-minute beat tape, and it's
Mm.
like 11 different beats on there, and they're all from like the last 5 years since I started making beats. And some of them don't sound that great. I mean, I think it's all a vibe, because even since I started making music, I just have had a good ear for picking the right samples. I guess I should start by saying, like, I'm definitely a hip hop oriented artist, and when I first started making music, sampling was definitely what brought me into that world. It was Wu-Tang Clan specifically. Hearing RZA and his production style and his choices of samples to make something completely new out of it and chop it up and make it a new living, breathing thing. I was 16 years old, and I was like, wow, I want to do this. Like, even if it sucks, I just want to at least try it. And slowly realize how important and how essential music is to my life, and it's become like my vital component, is just either making music, studying music, or just listening to music. Simple as that. um I mean, there's a lot that we could go through. There
There
really
is.
is.
There is.
But like I said, I feel like music is just a medium. I think this podcast is a medium. That's another thing that I also am working on. Not even working on, but I've already established. Me and my one of my best friends, Curtis, started our own podcast called The Low Resolution. So if you're listening and you heard me say The Low Resolution, go check it out, please.
That's actually
Just go
why
listen.
that's why I invited you on at first, is because
Yes.
as you mentioned earlier, with your compliment that I am a creative individual, the channel that this is going to be posted to is meant to provide an outlet for creative individuals who want to make a difference, to express themselves and express what that idea is. And you have a lot of amazing ideas, but I do also want to touch on the musical aspect of our lives, because I definitely have fluctuated from electronic into metal into hip hop into so many different genres of music, and I feel like, as you mentioned earlier, there's just no there's no one language of it. It covers all languages. It's a
Mhm.
simple thing that is simply an expression of oneself. And
Yeah.
I don't know if there can ever be something called bad or good music. I mean, there can be. It feels
It's
like
all it's all subjective.
it also
Life
is subjective, but
life boils down to perspectives, I believe.
to
I think
me,
that's what you're getting at,
yeah,
is that it's all about your perspective.
to me what makes a good music is something that has its own identity. Like it's its own thing, and you can listen to that and know what it is.
Yeah.
Do you
Like it's
think
its
that,
own living and breathing thing.
yeah, do you think that music has kind of become monotonous? Certain aspects of music have become repetitive, and do you think that music has kind of went downhill in some ways with the rise of pop culture?
Man, a very that is a question that you could use two shovels at once to dig into and try and break down. I
Good thing there's two
believe,
of us.
yeah, no, definitely. At this coffee shop here.
Yeah.
We're thriving.
Shovels in a coffee shop. You know, where else would you bring shovels?
Yeah, that'd be a good podcast name, honestly. Digging deep in the coffee shop, grinding,
Digging
grinding for
deep.
the beans. No, but to answer your question, I believe that there's always been a level of monotony in music once people found out how to profit off of it. I believe the spirit and the create, at least in a mainstream sense. I mean, I guess the best way to say it is there's always, you know, music with intention and care, and that's living and is its own, has its own identity in every generation. And then there's always going to be music that is pumped out and turned into a cookie cutter, I guess what's the word I'm looking for, like a algorithm, like it's an algorithm that's been turned into something that is very monotonous and very low energy in a lot of senses, a lot of negative words just being put into people's minds. And I mean, we could even get into like the conversation of people using certain frequencies to like, I don't know, like bring moods out of people. And I think that can be used for very good and for very bad purposes. And I won't get like super deep and woke into it, but I definitely do think, at least in like the radio mainstream sense of things, there's definitely something fishy going on with it. And I mean, I when I was younger and when I started making music, I pictured it as one route. Like there's one like path to go. Like you have to be famous and successful and super, you know, like fitting in with the wave that's going on. And I've just been through so much in the last few years that I'm so far disconnected from the wave hopping. I've seen so many different trends and shit just in the last 5 years of making music come and go. You know, Little Pump, or J. Cole talked about Little Pump on his album KOD, where his song 1985, it's the last song on that album, and he just basically talks about how you're riding trends and you're going to be old news one day because you're not really doing it from the core and you're not doing what's true to you. And when it's not true to you, it's going to be it's only what's the word, it can only last for so long, that form of income. And he says, the last line on it, he says, in 5 years you're going to be on Love and Hip Hop. And it's true, like that these and it's really, it's not Little Pump's fault. He's just a product of the system. You know, you're put in this environment where you're given so much money up front, and you find a algorithm that works for you to make a profit and get fans, and they just want to follow what's popular. And as soon as there's something else that's popular, if there's no real depth in your character as an artist, they're going to go as soon as there's someone new that's doing the same thing that you were, just with a different rhythm or a different tempo. And I want to be an artist who stays true to what I enjoy, and that in 10 years I have people who have been a fan of me for 10 years that are still like, man, like I'm true, I like, you're true to your craft and true to your words and what you speak out into existence. And it inspires me, and I just want to be an inspiration. I mean, I could list so many artists that I love that have been that same exact uh archetype for me, that have been that same kind of had a projection in their career where they went from unsuccessful and not mainstream to, you know, they have their core audience and they're making a living off of what they love. I mean, Tyler the Creator is the first person that comes to my mind, that is just someone who for the last decade, over a decade, has stayed so true to what he enjoys and has said fuck it to everyone else and whatever their opinion on what he needs to do is. And there was times where he was bashed for that, and now in the last 5 years you've seen like how him staying true to his craft and being so dedicated and focused to it and just being himself and just genuine and authentic and putting that into the music, it's paid off tenfold for him in so much abundance. He's won 2 Grammys in the last 2 years. He won one for Igor for Rap Album of the Year, which isn't even a rap album, but we won't get, I mean, we can get into the politics too of the Grammys and how they marginalize artists and use words like urban, which is like Tyler said when he won his first Grammy, he said they use this word urban, and he says it feels like just a proper way of calling him the N-word, and it's like, damn, like, and it's so true. It
Yeah.
really is. But
Let me ask you a question.
yeah,
Um,
no, I'm here for it.
I know I've told you a lot about my favorite artist right now, Trent Reznor. He is
Yeah,
like multi-Grammy winning composer.
he's the fucking man. Nine Inch
Yeah.
Nails is fucking phenomenal
Yeah.
all around.
And he has a line in one of his songs that I want to tie into the Grammys where he says, "Celebration of ignorance." And it's a song about like how humanity is becoming like ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I want to tie that line, "Celebration of ignorance," into Kendrick Lamar losing album of the year to Taylor Swift when he released To Pimp a Butterfly. What is that line, and what do you feel about Taylor Swift winning, um, as like a musical emotion?
Beyonce had one of the greatest videos of all time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I won't go 2009 Kanye at the VMAs. No, no, but seriously, and Kanye at that time. I mean, I can't
We'll get to
support what
Kanye. We're
those.
gonna get to
Yeah,
Kanye. There's no way I'm
yeah,
not talking to you about Kanye West.
yeah. No, I know that's happening, and I got my. I mean, I'm, yeah, but at that point of time, he was really saying, like that, like this music video, and I mean, honestly, like congrats to Taylor Swift. She's a hardworking artist, but that Single Ladies video, that shit was fire. And I think he felt slighted, and some people just don't know how to shut their mouths, and Kanye is the A1 example of that. But Kendrick losing to Taylor. Well, first we could backtrack a couple years to 2012, where Kendrick Lamar's
Good Kid, Mad
rap
City.
album "Good Kid, Mad City" lost to Macklemore. And Macklemore not only beat Kendrick, but he also beat Kanye, Drake, and Jay-Z for rap album of the year. And all those albums I still listen to on a weekly, if not daily, especially Good Kid, Mad City and
Fantastic album.
Yeezus. But it's scary. It's a scary thing, and I think we put too much power in things like the Grammys. I think these artists at this point of their career, Kendrick's so far apart from that, and he's so focused on his craft, and like not even his craft, but just like healing as a human from all the trauma that he's been through. If you listen to his newest album, it is a literal therapy session, the whole album. And to put that out into the world and like just be so vulnerable at such a high level of artistry is just a testament to how fucking awesome Kendrick Lamar is. But those Grammys are they only tell so much, especially when like you
They
said,
do, yeah.
Taylor Swift wins over him for To Pimp a Butterfly, which is, if not the most influential hip hop album of the 2010s, the
Probably the
most
best hip hop album
influential
of the
of all time.
2010s.
I think it is. I personally think it is, but it could also be the best hip hop album ever, period, because it's so phenomenal. But I live in New York, so I have to be careful saying stuff about that like that to old heads in New York. They'll be like, "Nah, Illmatic, son."
I feel like that's one thing I've learned about music as I start to love it more. And Socrates was like, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. It's like the more
Mm-hmm.
music I listen to, the more I realize that I have never heard and how like
Yeah,
small-minded my taste can be.
that's a
Like
fact.
Indian music, African music, Greek music, Italian music. Like there's so many variations of music that express cultural feelings, personal feelings. And it's such a beautiful thing because I feel like similar to you, I feel like I've been connected to music since I was in like second grade when I started listening to Slipknot. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't listen to them as much anymore, but I remember my brother put them on and my parents were like, turn this off. And I was like, oh shit, like I want to see what's going on here. And like
Yeah,
these dudes had these masks on and it was like this very interesting thing where you didn't know what they looked like and music felt so personal to you.
right.
And then I kind of started listening to electronic and Daft Punk and whatnot. And then I started making music. In sixth grade, I started
Mm-hmm.
making dubstep songs.
Okay.
And I remember I was in class and I told my teacher he had us like write out what we want to be when we grow up. And I said I want to be a dubstep artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did. and he looks at it and he like says it in front of the class. He's like, "You want to be a dubstep artist?" And he like kind of mocked me. And ever since then, my like passion to create music was diminished. And it's kind of come back in a little bit, in a little sense. I write poetry all the time, and I freestyle with you sometimes. But I want to
You got
ask,
bars, yo. Don't be so humble.
I want to
Don't
ask
be
you
so
though,
modest.
how have you persevered when you have seen that, some of the music that is promoted in it's very mainstream isn't really that meaningful? Do you want to be somebody who kind of like makes very popular music, or would you rather have it be more personal, or like a bit of both?
I I think you can. I think human beings are capable of so much more than we're told that we're capable of doing, even from a young age. I mean, I don't really want to focus on either. I want to just focus on I want to have my own like when people want to come to me because they like the feeling. Like when people go to Dr. Dre because they want that West Coast feeling, or people want to go to I mean, I can only think of millions of examples, like Pharrell, for example. Like Pharrell in the 2000s, he was a mainstream god. Like he was the Neptunes, which I don't know if you know, like the Neptunes is Pharrell and Chad Hugo. It's that's their like production name.
Mm.
And in the 2000s they had countless hits, and that didn't take away from Pharrell's ability to, be a genuine human and make interpersonal music on his own albums. Like In My Mind by Pharrell is a phenomenal album. I highly suggest you listen to it. But that's just one example where, like people just I think the best way to succeed as an artist is to be yourself and
Be
be
honest.
okay. Like be at first and foremost, like beyond the like accolades and the external success. I think the biggest success is to be comfortable with yourself and be honest with yourself and be vulnerable with yourself. And when you could translate that into the music and then put it out into the world and still function at a a reputable level, like where you have respect and you have peers who look up to you and want to collaborate with you, I think that's where real success is. And I mean, I kind of made it into something bigger than what the initial question was, but I would love to make hits. I'd love to make songs that millions of people sing, but I don't want to be I don't want to be a celebrity. I'm okay. And this I don't want to sound like it's for sure a set in stone thing, but I'm very confident in knowing that my mission here will bring me my mission here on earth in this lifetime will bring me some level of notoriety, whether it's through music or just through my voice. I just know that I'm here to, or even just comedy. That's another thing that I want to get into is make it just doing stand up comedy and making people laugh, or doing skits on YouTube or whatever it is. Um, but I want to have a level of notoriety and I guess I don't want to say fame, but success that brings, attention, to some level of attention. But I would never want to be at a level of celebrity where you can't step outside without being just absolutely mobbed. It just sounds really terrifying to me, honestly. And I have anxiety. I would be honest, completely straightforward. I have pretty bad rough anxiety, and sometimes my thoughts just completely paralyze me. But if I was at that level, like seeing where some artists are and the things that they talk about, and be trying to be at that level of celebrity and be honest with their experience and go against the grain of what the standard is for, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's the music industry, whatever it is, like trying to go against that, you just get completely written off because they don't want you to speak out about stuff like that. I mean, there's been countless examples of people who have tried to say something and they just got shut up completely, or they ended up dead or something like that. Like, I mean, the whole Epstein Island shit. I mean, that I don't know like major details, but from what I've heard, it's very concerning. It's a
And
very
that, yeah,
concerning. And
and that idea of like shutting people out is something that's becoming, not just in the music industry, but in in writing and journalism itself. My
Mhm,
favorite writer is an author named Chris Hedges, who was fired from the New York Times because he was speaking out against the wars in the Middle East.
mhm.
And anytime you start speaking the truth, your value is slowly diminished, and
Yeah,
it's kind of downgraded. And
because there's no profit in telling the truth to
exactly,
people.
there's no profit in morality, is what the country and the world and the direction the world is going in. Is what it seems like. Is there's no as if you can't make profit in something, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
But I want to tie back or touch back on what you said about your thoughts getting the best of you with anxiety, because I'm reading a book that I think you would really appreciate. It's called The Search by this man named Osho. I
Okay.
don't know if you ever heard of him, but he was a guru, and he talks about how
I'm gonna grab a notebook so I can write down notes from what we're talking about.
do
I'm
it,
listening though. I'm listening.
but Osho talks about how the mind is constantly in need of something to do, especially with your ego. Your mind is constantly needing a fight. It's constantly needing something that will keep it going. And he
Yeah.
says the problem with a lot of people is that you become the shadow of your mind instead of the mind becoming your shadow.
Okay.
And you succumb to all your thoughts. And he says to be at peace and to be in a state of meditation, you need awareness and discipline over your thoughts and your mind. And you
Yeah.
need to make sure that your mind is literally able to do nothing. Like he says, when you want to attain things, your goal, or at least the goal I'm trying to set for myself is to be able to look at a book with like no words and just feel like I'm getting as much out of it as I could with a book with words. He
Yeah.
says when you can, give yourself the ability to have no thoughts and be completely empty is when you know you've reached some state of nirvana, like the Buddha did.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting to me because I feel like where everybody nowadays is kind of told you have to be doing things all the time, all the time, all the time. And you
Yeah.
still can, but it's the way you are able to do those things that will prove how amazing you can be. And
Yeah.
if you let your mind get the best of you, you're hindered from doing those things.
Yeah. That's 100%. I'm trying to think of. I don't know who it was. It might have been like the Dalai Lama or something, where they talk about this subject of like the like monkey mind, like the part of your mind that's just constantly going, and it's like, um,
Symbols, yeah.
yeah, and you just can't turn it off. And I think people get completely attached to that part of their mind, and it becomes their identity in a way. And I think everyone goes through that. I know I go through that personally, where I start identifying with like the intrusive thoughts I have, like some of like I guess a good example of like really bad intrusive thoughts that I have that like paralyze me and like scare me to like do anything is just the idea of like the world like ending, just like global like apocalypse shit. Like that is something that's like, and I know I'm not the only person that fears like nuclear war and stuff like that. Like that's a common thing.
It seems
But
like we're
that's
getting to
something,
that.
yeah, and exactly. And we're so, this is like such a rampant like point in life and existence where it just seems not, I don't want to say inevitable because I want to be somewhat optimistic, but it's real. It's beyond real. And like you said, there's no profit in being real and honest with people, unless it's putting them in a state of fear. But besides that, I going off on a tangent a little bit. Just that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like I also just sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
no problem, no problem.
I think the goal of life for me isn't it should I feel like at least I don't know if it's appropriate to use the word should, but I feel like the goal of life shouldn't be to make as much profit as possible.
Right.
Like it at least I want to live comfortably. I don't
Yeah.
want to like do everything I can and screw everybody I know over to make as much
Yeah.
money as I can because it
Financial
feels
freedom and
yeah.
capitalism don't have to coincide. You don't have to be a
Mhm.
capitalist to find the way out of the rat race of
Yeah.
life. You
And
there. Go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
I was gonna say you live in New York, so you've probably been able to see even in a closer detail like the lengths will people are willing to go to just improve their social status in the ladder. Like
They become complete
friendship
drones.
friendship is kind of becoming obsolete, it feels like sometimes, where nobody really cares how close you are. If you're not helping them improve or get somewhere, then they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah. No, that oh my goodness. Even before I moved to New York, because honestly, I've gone through so many like friendships and relationships where I lost trust in people that I put all of my trust into. So at this point in my life, even being somewhere in New York, like New York, I really am cautious as to who I give my energy and who I put my trust in, especially for like business ventures. Uh I think a lot of people put way too much emotion into things that we need to be together with instead of feeling like we're against each other. I think a lot of people I think society and or I think the higher the powers that be, I guess, the higher powers that really control and orchestrate what's going on, uh they put people like you and I, they want us to be against each other and feel like we have to compete to like who gets more success and who has more money, because it's all a competition. But everything is not linear, and I think a lot of people think that life is a linear journey where it's just one line, but there's going to be so many setbacks, and really the biggest competition you'll have is yourself, because that 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 voice in your head is going to be there when you go to sleep at night, not yada yada from down the road who, like, who, I don't know. I can't really think of like a great example right now, but um I kind of just show people love and appreciation no matter who they are, unless they're just purely like evil. Um I have a level of understanding and empathy for people, for humans, because the human condition is just, it's sick. It really is. A lot of people are just so, and a good example of this we were talking about, because I messaged you with a lot of emotion about the sentencing of Nicholas Cruz to life in prison, and my response to it, just to everyone I've said, is just I wish that we like we would make an example of these animals. We would make an example out of them, so other people aren't inspired by the level of notoriety that they're getting. Like this kid Nicholas Cruz's name is more memorable at this point because of the way the media works than all of the victims that lost their lives that day. And it makes me beyond sick. That's another very intrusive thought in my head on a daily, is the fear of mass shootings, because it's so real and so rampant. And I struggle. I genuinely struggle sometimes to like go and hang out or like go out to large gatherings without the fear of fucking something bad happening. But man, see how quick conversations can go, like when you're open-minded to just so many different places. I think that's really important. I think it's good to not have like a super structured, like, we got to fit these talking points to, if you really want to have a breakthrough of a conversation. I think it's important to just talk. Just let your mind go wherever it's going, instead of feeling like, oh, I got to stick to this topic or this or that, because everything connects back in the end. It all comes from the same source, and it all goes back to the same source at the end of the day. But yeah, no, evil people is what we were talking about. What are your thoughts and opinions on the sentencing, first of all? Because I don't even think the death sentence is will do justice. I mean, my only hope is that these people that do such heinous acts, when they die, just have to live eternity going through the pain that they put their victims through, like just forever, just like constantly in their perspective, so they're in their shoes and they can understand. Because that fear of being under attack from somebody, like especially living in New York City now, and like grasping the pure terror of 9/11. Because when I was younger, it wasn't like it didn't impact me like that. It wasn't something where I was really truly like, I won't say moved, but like uh like it didn't impact me as a kid. And as I've gotten older, I've realized how much it impacts the whole world and people that I love and that I care about. And my friends that I've made here in New York City, especially people I know that have had family members die, like it really truly is it's terrifying. And I think people lack empathy for the victims and for just the pure terror of acts like 9/11, in turn for conspiracy and questioning, when sometimes like those questions, like I understand them because I used to question it too, but I'm at the point in my life and my perspective where what are those questions worth when we're not uh showing empathy to the people who are still like hurting from these things happening. Like I think people miss the bigger picture in turn for headlines and for what's going to get attention. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. But back to the question, how do you feel about Nicholas Cruz and what happened with his sentencing? Shouldn't even be saying his name. I feel like I'm giving him a platform just saying that name.
I think I have many different thoughts on it. I'm happy that he got life in prison. If he got the death sentence, would I have been unhappy? No. But I can understand why people want him to receive the death sentence. But as I said to you, the frustration people are giving to Nicholas Cruz, I feel like it should be directed towards people that
Enabled
gave
that.
him the opportunity to get and do the things he did and created the conditions societally, economically, politically, and socially to have somebody like Nick Cruz arise. And I
Yeah.
think same thing with 9/11. Killer Mike in Run the Jewels 4 says we've been robbed of our empathy and we replaced it with apathy. Um, and also Karl Marx says in the Communist Manifesto, we focus on things like the petty bourgeois, where if you are able to control a household or control a street and you feel that sense of power, you will use it. But you always remember that there's somebody who controls the district and controls the state and controls the country. And
Yeah.
our minds can get caught up in the things that we are able to comprehend easily
Yeah.
while we forget the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And like Nicholas Cruz is an awful person, but he is one out of like many, many mass shooters that are continuously terrifying this country. You
Yeah.
can't be safe at a football game. You are not safe at a baseball game. You are not safe at a concert. You are not safe in a casino. You are not safe at school. You are not safe at a park. You are not safe grocery shopping. Everywhere you go, you are under fear of this mass shooting threat. And I feel like it's harder for people to direct their anger towards figures that they don't see and that they don't really know the names of,
Hmm.
because you can't identify and pinpoint that anger towards something more concrete.
Yeah.
And
Because going in depth is scary for people, and we're
exactly.
not ready to
Hmm.
really talk about what the true like what the true where the
Where
true
the root
solution
cause comes
lies.
from. Yeah,
Right, where
and
the root cause
obviously,
is, right.
yeah, and Nick Cruz is a horrible person, but I feel like if we were able to direct that frustration towards people like Mitch McConnell
Hmm.
and anybody in Congress who votes against gun control,
Hmm.
we'd be able to prevent things like that from happening.
Right.
But it's harder to do that, and it also is disincentivized to be aware of the political process.
Yeah.
And most people don't really like follow it or understand it or know the 10 bit like the 10 the Bill of Rights. Nobody really knows who like runs their district, but
Yeah.
those people are the ones who can decide how old you have to be to get a gun. What do you have to do to get a gun? Like how much are people getting paid? If Nick Cruz's mom and family are struggling economically, those will create conditions to breed resentment and hatred towards other people. And when
Right.
you have um the person that
Sorry.
did the shooting in Texas, in Uvalde, Texas,
Yeah.
and the person who did the shooting in Buffalo, New York, when you
Hmm.
have people in power that are labeling minorities and labeling people of color and their neighbors as the ones that are causing economic distress, when in reality it's those same politicians that are shipping the jobs of their parents and their grandparents all the way overseas to China, Vietnam, Indonesia, and whatnot. that anger does not go away, and they're going to identify that anger with people that they can see in front of them, and those
Yeah.
people they can see in front of them are immigrants and people of color, and not just that, there are other shooters that shoot elementary schools, and there's a bigger rot at the deep core of American society that I feel like is hard to pinpoint, but it needs so much discussion. It's so complex.
Yeah.
And I want Nick Cruz to suffer. I want all the other mass shooters to suffer. Um, Death penalty, I understand it, but even then with the death penalty, we've seen it, get the wrong person sometimes.
Right.
And if we are going to do the death penalty, I think we should just do the firing squad. Quick and easy. Like they brought it
Yeah.
back in North or South Carolina because the injections weren't working, the shocking wasn't really working. Somebody was injected and they were dying for like hours when it was supposed to be like something that was quick.
Yeah.
But back to the other thing, like there's just so many roots and complex areas that need to be discussed that aren't being discussed. Again, because it's not profitable.
Yeah.
It's not profitable to prevent mass shootings because when you have mass shootings, you have media scandals and cover-ups and gun sales and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But it doesn't really matter.
Um,
Somebody has to speak the truth, and people like you and me and others need to do it at any cost.
yeah, 100%. I have a question for you as to what your take, because my perspective on restricting gun laws, I guess, I mean, for me it's like I don't think I'm right, and I don't even know what my thought is on it because it's such a dense topic. There's so much level and so many different aspects to it. But what is your like, and you're not, you're no one truly like knows the solutions, but my question, instead of what your perspective is on it, is should be, how do you think us as a people and as a nation can figure out how to find a balance between self-defense and terror? Other people have, um I don't have any guns. Obviously, I'm in New York City, and if I did, I'd be incriminating myself. But but I don't have guns. I've never liked guns. They scare me, honestly. They're very, very polarizing topic, but I understand why people would want to defend themselves from other people who do have guns, and that can inflict pain. And there have been shootings where people were stopped by civilians who had guns on them, and I don't think that's necessarily an answer to it, but in that in that situation he did stop more terror from happening, which is a positive thing. But then there's pros and cons to everything. So I just want to know what you think would be the best status. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the
I hear
best
what you're
way to
saying. I hear what
find
you're
a
saying.
balance in the crazy gun world that we live in.
Yeah. I think the most logical thing, because guns aren't just going to go away. I think we need to face that fact. Beto O'Rourke of Texas was, saying we're going to go knock on your door and take your AR-15s.
Yeah.
That will never happen. And I don't even know if that should happen. But I think we need guns to be like cars. Like you don't go to a car show and have a 12-year-old get in a Camaro and drive away. But you
Right.
can have a 12-year-old go to a gun show and walk away with a AR-15.
Yeah.
Um, you need to have stricter background checks, trainings, um, classes, so people can understand the scope of what they're dealing with. I actually went shooting this year for the first time in Tampa at a gun range, and I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Like my friend pulled out this big AR, and your body is naturally flinching every time it like somebody shoots for the first few times. Like
Yeah.
it's like thunder is going off and your body like jolts.
Yeah.
And like it's a natural instinct. That will happen to you if you ever go like try shooting guns.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying because when anybody has power, power is a thing that really affects the minds of people, and guns can provide power.
Yeah.
And I think
Sorry if
just
you can hear outside of my window. I live in Manhattan and there's just constantly traffic and
I
sound
can't hear
outside.
anything.
All right, good. I just don't
Yeah.
want it to fuck up the recording. But
No, we're
I
good.
apologize.
No, you're
Continue.
good. I was just gonna say, I think that guns need stricter regulations because there are people that have a lot of guns and will never commit a mass shooting,
Right.
but it doesn't matter. There are people that don't have any guns, and once they get one, that's all you really need. And
Right.
those are the people we need to watch out for, and those are the people we need to implement laws for.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I feel like it's a logical thing. I feel like most people are for stricter background checks and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like a mental cognition evaluation, something of that sorts, because a background check could only tell someone so much about, especially with the age limit, like so much of what is really going on in this kid's head when he's been, protected by his parents and not and enabled into the mentality that he has. Like there needs to be some form of confirmation that this person that we're giving this power to, because like you said, it is power. So when you're handing this power over to someone, are they, is it in the right hands? Is this power, are they worthy of carrying that power? And I think there are a lot of citizens who are worthy because they want to take care of their family and defend their family in case there's someone who's trying to hurt their family. And I completely agree with that. Uh
Exactly. Most people do. Most people really
and in
do.
a perfect world, no one wants, I don't, if in a fucking absolutely ideal world, I would love for there to be no form of weapons made to inflict pain on people at all. But that's just not real. And like you said, it uh, I feel like a lot of people who are very sheltered from society and sheltered from the outside world don't realize that we have to be realistic in the situation that we're in, and they want this ideal world to be crafted because their world has been crafted ideally based on their preference and their life because they've never faced adversity. And so those people that are, screaming at people outside to to do this and do that because of X, Y, and Z, that have no real uh I guess skin in the game is the word, because I don't know, I've seen so much and been through so much that like I understand like people's frustration, and I have a lot of frustration too, but I'm also someone who wants to focus on what I can help and what I'm able to realistically make a difference with. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that people who don't have that same perspective really frustrate me because they're not pushing the threshold. They're just staying complacent where they are. And it's a comfort zone that's never going to have any kind of progress. I shouldn't even say comfort zone. That's not the word. It's a place of frustration and anger that's not going to resolve anything. And sometimes frustration and anger does resolve things, but it has to be put in a productive light, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just think a lot of people out there need to reframe their perspectives in bound unbound from their ego, because I feel like our egos have all the answers and they know everything that's right. And I'm not trying to sound holier than thou in saying that, because I'm very egoic in a lot of ways and a lot of things, but that's just human being, our operating system. But I think that we have to unlearn stuff. I think that's the most important thing, is we have to unlearn what we've been conditioned to believe is the truth. Just like people who have learned that it's okay to have a gun at 18 and, hate this race or hate that race, like this kid in Buffalo that just I think he killed what, 10 people in that grocery store,
He live
nine
streamed it
something.
too.
Yeah, no, I saw that and it was absolutely just sickening. And I can't believe that like we live in a world where that is something that can happen. But it is the world that we live in, and I just think we need to, as a people, and this can get like really philosophical, and I know you're a philosophical and introspective person, a spiritual savant, if I do say so myself. And I mean, I think it's so far beyond the surface, and people don't realize that. And people are scared because a lot of people do probably have that sense that it is something deeper, but they push it away and focus on the money and the success instead of the real groundwork that has to be done to heal our spirits. And I mean, I guess I don't want to say ascend. I don't want to use these like cliche words that like sound, like out of your mind. But I mean, I think a lot of people just are scared to face that there might be a higher power. You know what I mean? And that there might be karma that good and bad karma, just like karmic debt. And I think we're put on this earth to like get rid of any bad karmic debt and put like good karma out there into the world.
That's very true. I want to dial it back a little bit though, because I have one last topic after this that
Okay.
I think is going to take up a big portion of the conversation. I
Okay.
think you might know what it is,
I
but
have a feeling.
but I want you to tell a little bit about your podcast and what it is and why you started it, and share a little bit about that.
So the Low Resolution
The low
is
resolution.
the best podcast in the world, first and foremost, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, anywhere you
I
get
need
your
to get this on
podcasts.
Spotify. I need to find a way to get this on Spotify.
You need to get it on Spotify because people like to listen. They like to do like work out and lock their phone and save it onto their Spotify. Me and my friend Curtis, well actually I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time just to talk and get my voice out there. And my friend Curtis and I a few years ago really wanted to do it, but the timing just wasn't right. The timing wasn't right, and we had to live life and experience life a little more. And earlier this year, I think in about August, just a few months ago, I said, man, I really need to start this podcast because it was just like pressing me. I was like, I need to do this. And me and Curtis have been putting it off, and just because life, you know how life gets in the way of doing things, and then we become accustomed to pushing away getting our tasks done and doing the things that we know we need to do. So I put pressure on my friend Kurt, and I was like, yo, I'm starting a podcast. Do you want to start it with me? I need an answer now. And he was like, yeah, bro, let's fucking do this. So we got the idea put together. We had the name. I like the word resolution because there's a lot of different interpretations. You can think of resolution as like quality, like picture quality or video quality. But for us, and it was more of a sports thing because we wanted to start it based off sports, and we both like teams that constantly break our hearts. So we wanted to make a podcast where we would find resolve in the heartbreak. And that's where resolution came in. And my friend Curtis, his last name is Resny, so resolution just had a nice ring to it. And then I thought of the low resolution, and it rolled off the tongue well. And I was like, all right, we're gonna roll with the low resolution. And we wanted to center it around just music and sports. And since the football season started, it's mostly been sports that we've talked about. But we have I think we only have one episode that's based on music right now. It was like a Lil Wayne lyric battle, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. We both picked like 10 different bars from Lil Wayne and like went head to head to see who picked the best ones, and it was actually really entertaining. But I we had like a breakthrough episode a couple of weeks ago where we just had a whole conversation like at the level of what we're talking about right now, just like talking about society and how we want to like go about like succeeding with our podcast and stuff like that. And it was like an hour and a half conversation, and I was like, man, this is kind of a breakthrough. Like we were trying to get like a regimen of like doing an episode about our sports picks and then doing this and that. And I was like, no, we should just make it a whole conversation and then put the checklists in there when we get to it, but just go off topic and start talking about stuff that's important, or just like loosely base the conversation around one thing and like just bounce ideas off there. But I just want to make content. I just want to put stuff out there so my kids can see that shit. You know, if we do our job and our kids can live on this planet, because I mean the idea of having kids right now is scary, because I don't want them to grow up in this world at the point where it's at right now. It just doesn't seem habitable at all. But yeah, man, the Low Resolution Podcast, it's really good. Curtis and I, we bounce off of each other very well in conversation. We've been friends since I think the 8th grade, and he's one of the few people in this world like where we just instantly get each other's sarcasm and sense of humor. So like we'll say things and just instantly know, like, cause we'll just make complex, stupid jokes that's like no one else would laugh at or
I do the
get.
same thing. I do the same thing, and it goes over everybody's head.
Yes, and I was just gonna say, you are one of the few people where I can make jokes and you'll be like, eh. And one thing I want to say is Michael, if you guys don't know, is an absolute demon when it comes to making jokes in the D's nuts category. He is absolutely fucking. He is. I don't even know the words. He is a deviant. and he
I'm a
and
savant.
he's a D's nuts savant. He's actually
Connoisseur.
nuts.
I'm a connoisseur of these nuts.
Yeah, he's a carnivore or carnosaur or yeah, one of those. No, but like really, like truly from the bottom of my heart, like I appreciate you so much, Mike. You're a good fucking man. And I've told you this before, and I'm not just putting on a front for the podcast or for the show. Is this a podcast? What is this? What is this that we're on right now?
This is a podcast.
This is a journey. It's a journey.
It's an experience.
Well, I appreciate you for having me here and wanting me to be here. Now let's talk about what you want to talk about, because I know you want to talk about it, and me, I'm like,
well, I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna say, but I assume we're gonna be on similar pages. But if not, it's okay. What do you think? What do you think it is?
It's got to be Kanye.
It is. It is.
Of course, it's Kanye. I know.
I was gonna say it's these nuts, but that. It's not.
I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
So it's these nuts.
We both know that musically, Kanye West is a genius. He knows when to put things and include things in the songs to continuously catch your attention.
Yeah.
He's very good with lyrics. He's very good with production.
Yeah.
His political takes, though, started off in Yeezus. I really loved what he said on New Slaves. I really loved what he said on a lot of those songs, some of his earlier songs as well. But as of late, he's been a little bit cuckoo, in my opinion, a little bit off the charts. And as somebody who really likes Kanye West musically, I want to know what you think. You know, how do you feel about him right now?
Well, first, I want to say, beyond musically, and I know everyone hates Kanye right now, that at some level, I like Kanye as a human because, one, he is honest. Two, he has achieved what he set out to achieve, and then some by my cat's meowing. 1 second. What? Okay, never mind. Ignore him.
He didn't achieve the presidency. That's what I'll say.
Okay. So yeah, that whole thing, that I hate it. I hate it. I wish he would find a better way to go about putting his message out into the world, because at his core, he wants better for the world, and I know he does, and he just has a very, very bad problem at putting his foot in his mouth and being an asshole and being selfish when he says shit where he doesn't need to say it. and I don't agree with that stuff whatsoever. And I wish and it's like disheartening because there's a lot of stuff that he does say that just goes completely over people's heads because of the media headlines, and they paint it out to be something that, and I'm not talking about what's currently going on, because the shit that's going on right now, like, I don't know
It's
if
awful. It's a very anti-Semitic. It's disgusting.
it is just bad. It's not anything I want to be involved in conversation, because it's just not something for me to even be talking about. But at least from my perspective, because it's just, if it's hurting people, then it shouldn't be being said in the way it's being said, because sometimes it's important to say things that might hurt people's feelings, but you have to know how to preface it and put context into it. And Kanye just goes off on bouts and just bipolar rampant thoughts where he's just like, oh, that, oh, boom. And I think he's seeing so far and away from where we are in life, and it might be for, like, he wants it for the better, and he thinks it might be for the better, but it's not for the better right now. And I think the present moment is all that matters. And I think he's just so far away from that, and I wish he would get the proper help that he needs mentally, because he's and I think this is, we could tie this back into the conversation that we were having about Nicholas Cruz. I think there's only so much hate that we can have towards Kanye before we have to question why someone at this level is so polarizing, and like,
Like what happened to
so,
him? What
yeah,
conditions made something like that happen?
yeah, like, it scares me, because I feel like at some level his mom dying was one thing that really threw him off as a human being. Like, that was the start to Kanye just not trusting anyone around him and not having any rock in his life. His mom was like the only solid foundation, and when she died, I know he lost like the biggest part of his life.
And then
And
he was in a car crash, right?
so that happened before he got famous. The car crash happened before he got popular. He was already popular as a producer, but he wanted to start rapping. Honestly, you should watch the documentary about him on Netflix. It's honestly really good. All, negativity aside, I think his life is something that people can look at and take something away from, even if you hate him, and even if we think he needs help and he's just out of his fucking mind. But he was in a car accident 2003. He survived that, and his song that he made, Through the Wire, was in vain of that car accident, and that's the song that kind of shot him up into the stratosphere, and he never really came down since then. But that was 2003. His mom died in 2007, I want to say, like late 2007, early 2008, somewhere around that time. She died after plastic surgery, post operation, had like heart failure because she wasn't being taken care of properly. And Kanye probably held that burden on him because he was so busy doing whatever with his artistry and success and popularity at the time, where he wasn't there to take care of his mom, and she died. And I know that if I was in that position, that I would just be absolutely broken, because she was the person that put the confidence into him to follow his dreams. And that's one thing. But and I don't want to like try and make him out to be a victim, because he's not, and he's a grown man who makes his own choices at the end of the day. But there's just so many factors there, and I think he's always had a screw loose, and that's what's made him so polarizing and such a creative person, and so successful in his creativity, is because he's been unhinged a little bit. And not that you have to have mental health problems to be successful. That's not what I'm saying. But there's like
He
a
was able to
certain
express himself in a way that others weren't able to express themselves.
yeah, there's just like a level of voltage going into his brain that not a lot of people's brains are getting. And I think that's where his problem is his brain is like really like ruining his life. It's something that, and he probably doesn't want it to be helped, because he thinks that
If
the
he
the
treats himself,
doctors
he'll
are
lose
trying to,
his talent.
Well, that and he probably thinks the doctors are out to kill him because he's so successful and he speaks out so much. And I would have that same fear too if I was him. If I was successful and speaking out like the way he did on Yeezus, I would think any psychiatric evaluation was them just trying to put me in a coma. And so I could understand where the paranoia and the fear is. And he's also someone who purposely does stuff to piss people off and get attention. And it works in getting attention, but this attention he's getting right now is not one that I know he doesn't want it. He never should have said what he said. I understand where he was coming from and what he said, but I don't agree with it at all, and it was completely wrong. That stereotype of saying that only Jewish people control the media and stuff like that is very harmful, and it hurts the people who have listened to him for years, and I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, I want to ask you, probably one of the last questions, but what do you think about separating the art from the artist? Like, do you think it's good to listen to Kanye, R. Kelly, all these people, like their music, or do you think that their personal lives should interfere with the way we digest their creative expressions? Like, this is a big one, but like Hitler's paintings. Like,
Mhm.
imagine if you go into a house and somebody has a Hitler painting. It's a really nice painting. Would you be
Yeah,
like, what the fuck are you doing? Or would you be like, I mean, it is objectively a nice painting,
yeah,
and that's where we're gonna leave it.
yeah. I I don't know, man. And it's hard to compare that because I mean,
They're very different. Yes, they're very
yeah,
different.
Hitler definitely was on a different level of evil. I don't think Kanye is inherently an evil person. I think he just is an idiot sometimes, and I think he really is having a manic breakdown right now. I think that's truly what it is. But so I don't agree with the stuff he said recently. I'll definitely continue to listen to his music only because his music has been there for me in times where I needed it like more than anything. And I'm a person who appreciates when someone's hard work affects my life in such a pivotal way. And I don't know. I think he would have to really I mean like I don't listen to R. Kelly. R. Kelly's nasty, but at the same time, like Kendrick actually has a line on his new album and he's just questioning it. He's not and this is where a lot of people don't know where to draw the line between, just having a conversation about something and saying, "Oh, he's this and he's that." Kendrick said, I think about Robert Kelly. If he wasn't molested, I wonder if life would have failed him. And like that's a real question, and it goes back to the core essence of the conversation with Nicholas Cruz and the anger that people are directing at towards him, and it's like I think it's a societal problem. I think these all are just showing why the world is wicked, and we can only have so much hate towards singular people, but there's a different power in that negativity that is beyond those people at its core essence. It's something that's generational and just it's a cycle that continues to happen. So if you want to listen to their music, I personally am not gonna chastise you, if that's the word. I don't know if that I don't know. I kind of just be throwing big words around sometimes, hoping that they're the right words, honestly.
That's the right word.
Okay, then there you go. I won't ridicule you for the music that you want to listen to, but if you're out purposely spreading negativity, like knowing what your intentions are, then fuck you. If you're someone who is unknowingly spreading negativity, we need to have a conversation, Kanye. And I think he
Bring him on. Bring
unknowingly
him on the shift.
I think
Bring him on
yeah,
the low
exactly.
resolution.
I think he no very much so unknowingly spreads negative energy, and I don't think it's what his agenda is to spread negativity, but it's in the essence of where he is and what where his mental state is right now. And I wish the best for him, and I wish the best for everyone because and that's the only way we'll evolve as a collective conscious and as a collective being is to have empathy for everyone and know that at its core essence we're all victims of this sick world that we live in.
Tyler, I think
And
that's a beautiful, beautiful encapsulation of everything we've discussed today.
man, I felt like I was dodging landmines trying to get to that. I didn't want to
Oh.
say the wrong thing and then get canceled. No, I'm just
You're done.
I'm done. I'm
No,
fucking done. The
I think
coffee shop is up in flames. Everything is going down.
the shovels are broken. You can't dig anymore.
Well, at least we have the hose. When you don't
But
have
no.
shovels. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'll stop with the jokes. We'll save those for after the recording.
Yes. I just want to say, I think spreading the goodness is the one way we can continue to combat the evils that have taken over our political and other institutions. And I think what you said here should be talked about and played all over the world. We should put you on Times Square and just have Tyler Hirsch's ending statement
That's a
echoed.
lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I want to be in Times Square being listened to by all these people. New York's crazy. They don't know how to act sometimes.
I bet.
They go crazy, but I love it here. That's one thing. I fucking love New York City.
I
I
would too
love
if
the
I was there.
energy. They keep moving and they keep grinding. And and some people grind too hard. Pause. But when you're grinding in the right direction, I want that energy in my life. This is just sounding worse and worse the more I'm saying it. But hey, um, like-minded people need to come together and help the unconscious people back to the light.
Yes, sir.
That's how I feel. Because we need to stop hating people that need love. Simple as that.
Tyler, tell everybody where they can find your podcast and your and music and everything. I'll put it all in the description, but plug it now too.
All right, so I'm recording my camera on my phone right now, but my Instagram is Tyler isn't
Tyler isn't what?
ISNT. He's not I don't know. That's the question. It's very philosophical and introspective. What is he not? I don't know. Tyler isn't able to be uncool. I don't know. I couldn't fit all those letters in my username. No, but you find me on there. If you go to my Instagram, you can go into the link in my bio and my SoundCloud will be on there. I have a link tree where it'll take you to all of my different platforms, whether
I'll be in the
it's
description.
whether it's my YouTube channel, whether it's my SoundCloud, whether it's the Low Resolution podcast, my TikTok. I make some funny ass TikToks if you want to follow me on there. I think the name on there is also Tyler isn't. If not, it's like Ty isn't. But yeah, man, I'm just here to spread love and spread positivity and keep being nice at what I do because and honestly, I don't have a lot of raps out, but I am definitely focused on making projects right now because after I made that beat tape, I'm like, man, I want to keep making things just for people to listen to front to back because it's gotten good reception. I don't think you listened to the beat tape yet, but I want you to listen to it as soon as possible and give me your opinion on it.
I
And
will.
you guys go to my SoundCloud and listen. It's called 22. All the beats are from the last 5 years of my journey of being a producer. I wanted to just take the old stuff that I had made and just get it out. I was like, just put it out so you can keep moving forward. And shout out to everyone who, who was in my mind when I made that little beat tape because there's definitely people in my mind. But besides that, man, I don't know. Find me out in New York City. If you're in New York City and you want to come vibe, make some music, just have a conversation. That's what I'm here for, baby. There's a lot of coffee shops.
There's a lot of coffee shops. We're in one right now. We're in a coffee
Oh
shop right
man,
now, actually.
I love it, bro. Thank you so much for having me on. It means
No
the
problem.
world.
Tyler, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, please check out the description and check out 22. We love you all very much and go out and change the world.
Be safe, y'all. Love.